beautiful souls, and welcome. This is Rochelle with the Healing Rose, and today I am doing the hashtag my 10 most used decks of 2023. This is a VR to highly sensitive tarot, and these are in no particular order. These are just the decks that they have lived in my my little tarot go bag. They have traveled around with me. They've been the ones I've been using in readings, or a deck or two that I have actively been studying and working through. Okay, so the first one here, this is the Wildwood Tarot. It does have a really lovely book that goes with it. Oh, that's a fun coincidence. So this is the cover, the hooded man, which is the equivalent of the hermit. It's a really well done book. It will give you a description, a meaning, and then reading points, and the roots and branches, just keywords in relation to the card. So we have a nice solid really solid information for the majors, and then the minors are for the most part just a single page or portion of a page. So this is one of the decks I have been studying, because although it is I want to say very similar in a lot of ways to the Rider-Waite deck, it has changed the name of the suits. It has changed the names of some of the majors, like the Blasted Oak for the Tower, the Hooded Man for the Hermit. And I mean, some of them are really obvious. We have the Mirror, the Green Man, the World Tree, the Shaman. But we have bows, stones, arrows, and vessels. So like the Page of Vessels is an otter, King of Bows, the adder. Now these animals are significant within Celtic lore and mythology and traditional Celtic shamanism, so they all have their own symbolism. So the deck does need a little bit of study. If it's your very first deck that you ever get, you're not going to have anything to kind of confuse you, as it were. When we look at the suits, so, you know, arrows are air, they equate to swords, and some of the symbolism, like 3 of arrows is there, 5 of arrows is a little bit less obvious. So it just kind of depends. You know, for vessels, we definitely have our sort of reference to that ennui that we have in the traditional Rider-Waite, and some of them are less obvious, like the 3 of Stones, creativity, where she's really rooted and grounded and kind of sinking into the stones, and it's a little bit less obvious in its traditional meaning. So we do have some that require a little bit more study. So this has been a deck that I've really been working with, you know, sitting and doing a reading, laying out the cards, and then going through the book and, you know, seeing the relationship of one card to another through the actual writings in the book, and really getting to know this, just because it's different enough that I feel it warrants that extra study. So it's Will Worthington's illustrations, which are absolutely glorious. I absolutely love the 6 of arrows. That's just amazing. 7 of arrows. See, that's different enough from the Rider-Waite Smith that it does require a little bit of digging deeper. You know, 5 of Vessels, Ecstasy, is very different from the 5 of Cups in, you know, in that kind of traditional Rider-Waite sense. So some aspects require a little bit more study. So this is one I've actually managed to do a lot more work with than I had previously, and I have obviously trimmed it. you can see I've taken off just a little, just the outside white borders to make them a little narrower, a little more comfortable for me to handle, even though they're a little taller than your regular size tarot. But it's definitely, it's been a fun one to work with, actually. I really love the artwork. I love Will Worthington's work that he has done, and it's Mark Ryans and John Matthews that did the tarot book with that. Let's just plop that back on the shelf. Okay, so let's see, deck number 2. This one has not been in my collection long, but I love it. I love it, love it, love it so much. So it just came out, I want to say September maybe, and I waited forever for it to arrive out in my area. The backs are gorgeous. I love the Art Nouveau style, and this absolutely did not disappoint. It's a Lo Scarabeo. The artists are Italian Giulia Massaglia. Beautiful artwork. This is our beautiful strength card from the cover. So we do have different little borders for each suit. I did a review of this, or flip through, when I first got it, and I have to say I still absolutely love it. This is, I think, my favorite out of all the Egyptian decks that I have. Now that is to say I do not have the Nefertari, which I would absolutely love to get my hands on, that beautiful gilded version that came out. And I just thought at the time, I was like, oh, I can't really justify just adding it to my collection, and I should have. I'm kicking myself. I should have got it when it was new. So that's how it is, right? So now I don't hesitate. If I look at something, I go, oh, I'm gonna love it, I just get it, because you never know. So it definitely is very much like a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, but the colors are really beautiful. I love the shade of blue that they've chosen. It's very vibrant. It still gives you a bit of that kind of that ancient Egyptian feeling. I feel it really comes through. And of course it reads beautifully. It's very easy to read because it is so incredibly similar to the original Rider-Waite that I learned on so many years ago. It shuffles beautifully. It's got a wonderful glide to it. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I love everything about this. So I have just been using it and using it and using it. I'm probably going to edge it. I was thinking about trimming it, but I don't want to lose any, like, the beautiful wings or lotus or anything. So I think I might just, I'm trying to decide what to edge it in, if I should try to find a blue that's very similar to this, or if I should go with a red, or just kind of maybe like a papyrus color. I really feel like I want to try to find a blue edge for this. I feel like that's going to be absolutely fantastic. But who knows? We'll see. Once I find the perfect color. I was thinking about a metallic, but I love it. This is going to be a favorite for a while. I can tell it has. I've had so much use with this deck already. All right, so that was deck number 2. What's next? Oh, this is a favorite, and I know from when I shared it in, I'm pretty sure it's my top 10. I found out after that because it is a mass market deck. This is the absolutely gorgeous Wizards Tarot by Corrine Kenner. And it was published by Llewellyn. The borders are impeccable. I love these borders. I love the backs. It is absolute, everything about this is wonderful. We've got fairies. We've got, I want to say dwarves or trolls. I'm not sure what it says. I have to go back through the book and look. We've got mermaids. We have like salamanders, and it's just it's so much fun. Absolutely so much fun. I feel like it's just really, really fantastic. I mean, maybe they're like a gnome. I'm not sure what it's referred to in the book, but it's one of our lovely magical earth creatures. So the Alchemist is really fabulous for the Temperance card. Finding that perfect balance. So it is very much Rider-Waite, but it is very, very, very fabulous. And I use this all the time. I am now seriously contemplating getting myself a second copy because I found out, because it's out of print, it's actually a little bit more valuable, and I would like a backup copy. I'm still thinking about edging it. I want to find something close to that lapis color that I can do for edges. I was thinking about doing like a gold metallic edge, but I really kind of like the blue. Maybe I'll just do like a combination of the two or something. I'm not sure. But it is fabulous, that the Wizard Tarot. Okay. All right, so mass market that is still in print, and this one I've gotten so much use out of. I have to say, this is my favorite of the Chris Anne Tarot, the Muse Tarot. Let's move the box out of the way. So I bought it just for the backs. I've used it so much this year. It's really, really fabulous. The colors are great. It's got this really cool kind of desert kind of, it's not as bohemian style, I guess, as the, what's her other one called? Light Seers. I do have the Light Seers, which is all right. I don't like it as much as this one. This one, there's something about it. It's kind of a little Art Deco, kind of a little bit collage. My only complaint with this deck would be that the kings are now muses, and they are sideways cards. So instead of just taking the card and doing this image the long way, we've turned it sideways and mirrored it for every single suit. So all of our muses are, I like it though, it's kind of like the Sphinx, right? And that, what was that movie where they go through and they're walking through, and if they don't get the riddle right, the Sphinx like vaporizes them with laser eyes? It's from like a million years ago. It'll come to me later. Some cheesy sci-fi thing, but that's what it makes me think of every single time I see it. It is beautifully done. I hadn't seen too much of the deck, but I saw the materials suit, which is Pentacles. Pardon me. And it's just so absolutely gorgeous. And the backs are brilliant. So, I mean, the whole Pentacle suit is just like absolute perfection. So I love this, and I have used it so much. It's very colorful, and it actually goes well with a lot of the Oracle decks that I have. It plays well with other decks, so, which is always a great thing to have in a tarot. It definitely helps to make it be one that, you know, you use a lot of. All right. So we have, here we go, the Moonchild Tarot. All right. So this is by Danielle, Noel. It is a very chunky independent deck. It has a really great guidebook. You'll have seen this if you've watched any readings on my channel, because I use this a lot. This may be my favorite High Priestess card of all time. Absolutely love it. This is my only complaint about the deck, I think, is that the court cards are all these kind of cameo portraits, which they're lovely, very cool and stylistic, but I don't, you know, there's so much going on in every other card. There's so many things to draw the eye in. There's so many nuances that, I don't know. It just seems like it's, if you read intuitively and you're, you know, having a symbol or something pop out at you, there's not really too much on these suit cards to actually, with the kings and queens, to kind of give you much unless you already know the meanings, right? Other than that, this is my absolute favorite, probably, deck of all time. This is, again, gotten so much use. This is probably one of my most used decks. So personally, if I'm doing a reading for myself, this is the deck that I go to. I absolutely love it. I love the color scheme. I love this Eight of Cups. Like, it's phenomenal. I could stare at it like all day. I love the Egyptian feel of it. I love the Egyptian symbolism. I mean, the pentacles, interesting that she chose to still stay with the suit of pentacles, even though everyone has a coin or disc. So the fact that it wasn't changed to coins or discs, to me, seems interesting, because there's actually no pentacles in the imagery, or at least none that pop out, right? There might be some like hidden or tucked away, but they're not, you know, they're all big Egyptian coins. So I find that kind of interesting. But oh my god, this, other than that, this is probably the closest to perfect. I love this deck. Ugh. I literally could talk about this deck for probably 2 or 3 hours. You would have me telling you how wonderful it is. But so this has gotten so much use. It probably will every single year. I'm not gonna lie. It's since I've had it arrive at my home, it has gotten so much use. It's ridiculous. Probably my most used deck, actually, in my personal practice. All right. Okay, so this is the Crystal Visions Tarot by Jennifer Galasso. It's a US Games deck that I have trimmed. I think I did a video about it when I was doing it. So I've trimmed off the borders, and I have edged it in this beautiful purple, which makes it so luxurious now. Absolutely in love with it. It's got really fabulous cardstock. It shuffles beautifully, and people really resonate with the visuals. This really gives me like vibes of that movie Legend, which is, I think, Tim Curry was in it, and I want to say maybe it was Tom Cruise when he was like, I don't know, like 14 years old or something. It's ridiculous. It was so long ago. Way back in the 80s. And it has the same kind of really whimsical, kind of magical fairyland. You know, there's like a hint of darkness there, but it's just absolutely lovely. Totally gorgeous deck to work with. I mean, people love it. I've had several people be like, oh, it's kind of like Stevie Nicks, especially if the star card comes out. It's got such a cool vibe to it. So I've used this one a lot. If people see it, they like, if I have 3 decks sitting on the table and they see this one, they're like, oh yeah, no, I want that one for my reading. And you know, 90% of it is they choose by the back. They love the backing of this one. So this is it's a fun little deck. I'm really glad that I trimmed it. It's really easy to hold. It's really easy to shuffle. A lot of people are only used to shuffling playing cards. So if I let somebody else actually shuffle with the deck, they you know, they don't have a hard time handling it like they do with some of the bigger decks. Okay, so that is our Crystal Visions Tarot, which has had so much use this year, and you know, mostly just reading for other people, not so much for myself, but that one. Okay, let's go over here. Next one in the stack. So these are, I mean, basically just grabbed out of my go bag on the front of my shelf because they're the ones I reach for continuously. Okay, so this is another Danielle Noel deck, the Starchild Tarot. This is the Akashic version. So it is more the standard tarot shape as opposed to being the big, huge cards. It has the beautiful matte gold gilding. So I find this is a more lavender color palette. Similar style, a little bit more cosmic, I would say. That Starchild vibe definitely comes through. I did like the unicorn. That's probably 80% of why I got it. I also just wanted something that would be a little bit more travel friendly. So this one does fit in the bag. This one I have used probably more with people that I'm doing personal readings for. Not a deck I would take to like a festival or a psychic fair, just because it is independent. It is a little bit more expensive. It's still in print. I mean, it's not like that much more because a lot of decks now are floating at around $40 Canadian. And this one is, what was it? Somewhere around, I want to say maybe 65 Canadian. So not bad at all, really. You know, when a lot of decks are in that, you know, 35 to 40 range, it's not like some of the decks that I've looked at that I would love to add to my collection. You know, they're going to be like $120 by the time they get here. So this, you know, price range that it's in, I feel like it's still really accessible. It's not like ridiculously high end, but it feels very luxurious when you're working with it. It's a good quality deck. It's great cardstock. It is a little chunkier to work with, but absolutely beautiful. It is gorgeous. And people really resonate with it. So, I mean, that's the majority of the use that I've had with this has been as a traveling deck, you know, that goes in my bag, and I use it when I'm doing readings for other people that way. All right, let's get you out of the way. And next. All right, so this is, I think this is also one of my top 10. The Radiant Wilds Tarot. Or Radiant Wild or Radiant Wilds? Let me see. Yes, Radiant Wilds. This is the book that comes with the deck. I think it's about $40 Canadian. Average price. It does come with a full color book. It's got a really nice breakdown, a couple of pages for each card all the way through. It's a rock pool deck, so it's got that really lovely finish on the book. The cards are foiled. So when I got this, it did have a huge bow in it, and that often happens when they're foiled edges, like they're not just like gilded, but they're actually that solid foil on there. And the foil has held up really well for how much I've used this. I thought I would get more chipping than I have had. Sometimes the foiling on some decks is not great. This is just phenomenal. This is like, I feel like color scheme wise, this reminds me a lot of, I think it's the She-Wolf Tarot, which is on my list, on my dream list. It's just not in my current budget. Soon, I'm working on it. Soon I will manifest myself a copy of the She-Wolf Tarot, and I will be so happy. But this, I love that kind of abstract art deco. It's very bold. It's very, very desert, very free. I love the heat in this deck. I mean, it's definitely has a vibe about it that I really, really appreciate. Like, some of it's so abstract. And there, you know, there was a point in my life where I would have looked at this and just been like, ugh, no, I can't even. But now there's just something, you know. So I know that definitely this artwork style is not for everyone, but it reads really well. And it's not your traditional symbolism by any means, but it really evokes a feeling that you get, you know, you really get a sense of the card. Like, working with it in person, I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's cool. I like the colors. I was really attracted to the colors of this deck, and I thought this would be really fantastic for readings for people. And it would look good on camera, which, I mean, it does. It's gorgeous. But, I mean, once I got it and I started reading with it, like, you could feels like, you know, you would love an ice cold lemonade. It feels like you're in the desert, like you feel the warmth of it. It's such a summertime deck. It shuffles really, really lovely. It does still have a bit of a curve. So the curve is kind of like, it curves up that way a little bit. It's almost gone out of the deck. I've used it enough now that it's so slight. I'm sure it doesn't even really necessarily show on camera. I can kind of sense it when I shuffle, and I always give it a little push back against it. And that's just because there's something that happens when a deck gets foiled. And I know we all love the look of foil, but that's kind of sometimes the price we pay. And it doesn't happen all the time when you get a foiled deck, but I've had that with a few. Some of them, they show up and they're so bowed, and it seems like any moisture that gets into the card and then it's foiled and it undergoes any kind of temperature change, it will cause some kind of a shape in the card, and it works itself out. It does. You just have to use it. So if you get one and you're like, oh, it's really bent, just keep working with it. I have found that every single deck that I've had like that, whatever shape it's made has come out of the deck. You just need to continue to work with it. The more you handle it and the more you shuffle it, the more limber the cardstock becomes, and the more pliable it becomes, and then that just kind of goes away. So let's get on to the next deck before this ends up being an hour-long video, because I'm so in love with these. Probably why I've used them so much. All right, so this is the Tarot Muka, or Muka, depending on how you pronounce it. If you're living anywhere in British Columbia, everybody calls it Muka. That's because we're all English speakers, right? In Europe, it's definitely Muha. It is a low scarabeo. It has the little pop top, and I find when I travel, this comes off. So that beautiful box lives on my shelf, and the deck lives in the bag. This is gorgeous. So it is indeed a rider weight deck. It has beautiful borders. It is absolutely gorgeous. Each suit has its own different border. So I haven't trimmed this. It is lovely. It is a little bit glossy. It's just absolutely stunning. I love the style of artwork, which is probably why I have two very similar kind of Art Nouveau style decks that are in my most used, because I absolutely love, love, love Art Nouveau. I have one of one of Muha's pieces on a mirror. That's really fantastic, from an advertisement that was done. a million years ago. So this is a fabulous deck. I love working with myself. I don't do as much on camera because of the level of gloss on here, but this is absolutely, this continues to get a lot of use for me. Doesn't seem to matter what year it is. I mean, I do kind of go through cycles. Like I had decks that were like my daily constant use decks for years, and then that kind of switched around. Now this is one that I've used so much. It's absolutely beautiful and I love it. Okay, I think we are down to our last deck. Let me see. I will just double check. Okay, I think this is the last one. Am I missing one? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Yep, this should be the very last one. Okay. So this is the Enchanted Forest Tarot by Lunaea Weatherstone, and the artist is Marilla Allwood, and I'm probably totally mispronouncing that first name. My apologies, but my English is only so good. Oh, I have to let my puppy in. Let's just pause this. All right. So this is another deck that has required, although I love it, it has required a little bit of a use of the book, a little bit of study. So we have boons, we have spells, we have challenges, and we have visions. So our suits have changed. Challenges are swords, visions are, okay, don't chew your feet. Dogs. Dog. Hey, enough. All I can hear is her crunching on her toenails. Maniacs. So visions are cups, our spells are our fire suit, wands, and boons are earth. So it's absolutely, it's so adorable. I love how sweet it is. Several of the majors have also had a, oh my gosh, flop flop, there they go. The two of them getting comfy on their beds. We have the Huntsman. We have the Enchanter. We have the names of the court cards have been changed. We have the Child, the Seeker, the Weaver, and the Keeper. So that is, you know, interesting to kind of like remember at which stage, what are we looking at? What suit is it? And it's not, some of it is very intuitive and some of it is I need to look at the book. So this has been one that I've been working with more as a study deck, which is interesting. I kind of have this forest theme going on this year for the decks that I've been studying and working with between this and the Wildwood. So it's absolutely beautiful. I do find that I just am totally in love with some of the little details that pop out in these illustrations. It is absolutely fabulous. Like the Seeker of Spells, so this would be the Knight of Wands. I love the little fox in the background. So adorable. The Weaver of Vision, so that's equivalent to the Queen of Cups. We have, instead of the Fool, we have the White Hart. We have the Forge. We have the Oldest One. We have the Forest Lord, the Green Mother, the Wide World, the Council of Animals, the Enchanter's Wheel. So there's a lot of different name changes, which just means it's not as, you know, it's not as obvious. So we have Starlight instead of the Star. We have moonlight instead of the moon. So there's several changes, which just means that it's a deck that, although I can just sit down and read with it, I prefer to actually spend my time, again, very much like I do with the Wildwood Tarot. If I'm doing a reading and I'm laying out the 3 cards, then I take the book and I flip through and I look at which, you know, what kind of keywords I'm being given for that card that's maybe a little bit different from a traditional tarot meaning, or another layer to it, and going through that and then, you know, weaving that together. So I just get a little bit deeper understanding. And the book is so well done, and it is divided up so that it's very easy to go through. All the 1s are together, all the 3s are together, all the 8s are together. So it is quite, you know, it is quite different in how it is put together. It is, I think it's a really natural, intuitive way to go through the book, to go through all the 2s together, you know, because there's a little bit about what the 2s say and how that message translates across each element, right? And then the seekers and what the seekers do. So the book is really great. It's different, but it's not crazy, like totally off the rails. Sometimes you'll find decks where they've changed the suits and they've changed the name of the court cards, and it's all, it doesn't make as much sense as this. I think they've done a really good job with this actually making sense. It's just one that I need to study. And so I'm glad that I've actually fit it in, and I've found the time to actually do the studying and actually get that, you know, so that I am really clear and really, you know, becoming much more solid with the deck, as it were, right? So let me see. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess that is all 10 decks. So we are through the decks, and I personally think that it's really interesting for me to see what everyone else is working with or what they're studying. So not all of these are ones that I'm, you know, actively using every day for my daily draws. Some of them are it's like the deck that I'm using to read for other people all year, and then the deck I use for my own practice of reading, and then just the decks that I'm working with as I'm learning them. And I think at this point, I'm probably going to actually switch some of the decks around for next year, because there's some that I wanted to get to that I absolutely just did not have a chance to. And I'm really feeling like I want to actually spend the time with some of those next year. Probably, I think at this point, I'll just pick 2 for myself, because 2 seems to be my number. And if the decks work in harmony with each other, like the Wildwood Tarot and the Enchanted Forest, those 2 work really well. I also find that both of them, for me personally anyways, they go along really, really well with the, what's it called now? The Enchanted Lenormand? I think it's the Enchanted Lenormand. It's right here in the little bag. And it has this really kind of cool Enchanted Forest vibe to it. So this is, because I'm learning Lenormand as well, so this is one that I have used a lot with the Enchanted Forest, and I find it is pairing quite nicely with the Wildwood. It's got a really nice woodsy, foresty feeling. So this is one that's actually we'll call it our bonus deck. And I've kind of got this little forest study theme going on. So my 3 decks that I've been actively studying are all little foresty decks. So that's fun. Anyways, I would absolutely love to watch more of these from everyone else, because for me, when I watch a video like this, it just helps me to understand why someone else is using a deck, what attracts them to it, how easy it is for them to work with, and what it pairs well with. For me, that's actually really interesting to find out. So I'm personally really looking forward to seeing what everybody else does with this hashtag. I haven't let myself watch all of them yet, because I feel like then I just get so distracted and I go down this little rabbit hole, and then I'm making lists of which decks I want to go and look a little deeper into myself, or which ones are going on my wish list. And you know, and then it's a month later and I was like, oh, I was going to do that video, and I never got around to it. So I just wanted to, you know, get this out before I let myself get super distracted. So if you've made it this far, thank you so very much for watching. And I hope that you have a wonderful day, and take care. Bye.